Believe it or not, we tell ourselves lies every single day. What is the reason that a lot of people aren't able to accomplish more in life? It's because of what they believe. And the things that they believe are oftentimes coming from thoughts that they tell themselves. How often have we been hindered from going forward because of something that happened in the past? How often have we limited our ability to take advantage of an opportunity because of what someone else said that we just can't shake off? How many times have you second-guessed yourself when you really knew you had the ability to do it, but you were afraid of what people may think of you? You were afraid of what people might say. All of these things we're surrounded by all the time, and we all can make compromises that we don't realize simply because we don't realize that there's lies that we're being told. Have you ever wondered what is it that actually causes us to have such a tough time trying to live life on our terms, trying to be happy, trying to have the things that brings us joy, makes us feel fulfilled in all that we do? Why is it so difficult just to consistently feel good, to consistently be happy? Why do we feel like we're up sometimes and then down the next? Why is it that as soon as something good happens, it just takes a little bit of time and all at once, it feels like that goodness is gone? Is it something that we can control? Is it something out of our control? Is it something happening to us, or is it something happening within us? Is it something that we can actually do something about, or are we helpless to the pattern that always comes to all of us, making us feel a certain way? Well, I want to talk to you about why we need to stop lying. Now, again, I want you to understand that lying is not spelled in the normal way. We're talking about Lion. And I'm going to explain why this is so important and the whole purpose of understanding what our biggest enemy is that we deal with every single day. Let me start by saying that all throughout my life, the lion has been my favorite animal. I just love lions. In fact, times, growing up, I've always had a cat or something around, not because I just was crazy about just a cat, a small cat. I really want a lion. That's what I really want. I mean, I've seen people on YouTube and all around walk up to a lion, play with the mane of the lion and hold it, wrestle with it, lay all on it. It's totally my dream to do that, but I will not be fulfilling that dream because I don't trust that lion who has an instinct in nature may not just wake up one day and, take a strike that I can't handle. So this is why I've not done that. Now, I remember I went on a trip to South Africa and I was seeing lions in the jungle, the real jungle, right? I never forget going to Kruger Park, going to different places and seeing real lions. I mean, the look in their eye, it wasn't like the lions at the zoo. I don't know what it is like. I don't know if it's kind of like, killer whales that have not been domesticated and their fin just is up strong, but you see them when they were, in some of these places like SeaWorld and things of that sort, how their fin would kind of, go over. And I hear it only happens when they're in captivity, but when these lions were in their natural habitat and they were free range, just out there in their normal habitat, it was just a different look in their eyes. It was something about them, and you could see just the sense of the strength and the might of this great creation of God. And so, this has just been a powerful thing. And when you think about a lion, you think about so many things. And I want to explain to you why I'm really using this as something even bigger that we need to think about as it relates to what we deal with every day. Now, I'm going to reference a lot of what I'm talking about today based on a scripture that actually speaks to a lion in a different way. Now, what's so unique about the Bible and so interesting, you have to really make sure that when you think about the Bible, again, is not the Word of God. The Bible properly interpreted is the Word of God. And so if you pick up the Bible by the wrong end, it'll hurt you. It's just like when Moses threw his rod down, it became a serpent. And if you picked that snake up by the wrong end, he would have got bitten. But if you picked it up by the tail, and it became a rod again. And so we have to be very careful. There's so many things. And what's so ironic is we see that a lion was used as a symbol of Jesus, the lion of the tribe of Judah, right? It was a symbol of strength. It was a symbol of, even in the days of Israel, one of the ensigns that some of the camps, I believe it was the camp of Judah and those that was on the east side of the tabernacle, they had an ensign or a symbol of a lion. All of these things were symbolic of strength. But there's also a different use of the word lion. This is actually in 1 Peter 5 and 8. And I'm going to use this as a backdrop to some of the things we're going to talk about that we deal with every day. I don't care if you're dealing with life, with business, with family, with relationships, whatever it is, there's something that we have to really confront. So here's what it says. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Now, he called the devil a lion. Now, my subject today is not the devil. Now, if you have not heard me talk about the real truth on what does that actually mean, very far from what a lot of things are taught in religion, make sure and check out my other episode where I talk about the devil, right? I think I called it The Devil Is a Lie. And like I said, no, he really is. And you're going to find out why I say that. So check that episode out if you're interested in knowing more. But I want you to understand this scripture is very powerful. Now, it talks about, let's go to my whiteboard for a minute. And there's a reference here. It talks about this lion as it says here that this lion is equivalent to an adversary, right? And again, the word devil simply means an adversary, something that's an adversary to God. And there's a lot of different levels to the word devil being used. You can see this in so many different elements. Sometimes it's referring to governments of man, sometimes it's referring to evil spirits. And then there's the devil that is reference to something that we all deal with. And this is what Peter was talking about. Something that is an adversary to us, something that's in us that actually we deal with. And I think I'm going to read you the next verse of that. Let's go to the next verse. I think that's in the 9th verse. He began to talk about what to do about this lion. He says, whom resists steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplishing your brethren that are in the world. So he talked about fighting to resist this lion, right? And he went on to say that there was other people, no doubt in the church at that time, all around the world that were dealing with the same lion. And he said, so don't think that something's wrong with you. He said, this is something that everyone's dealing with, right? In the kingdom, they're dealing with this lion and having to resist it. Well, this lion is actually symbolic of the nature that we were born with that always desires to do its own will, to think negative, to do that which is against the things that God may want, because it's all about, we're built to just do what we want to do, right? And it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't seem like a bad thing, right? I'm just doing what I want to do. But, we were made in a way where we could choose. We could choose if we want to do the right thing. We could choose if we want to do the wrong thing. And it's a blessing and a cursing, right? So for you to have free will, you got to make room for the person who wants to help people and do good by people. You got to have room for the murderer and the robber and those who want to do evil. And this is why it's really a true love when you love God, because it was really something you didn't have to do. And this is why it is a real decision if you choose it. You want to live your life however you want to live it. And so this is why every single day, whether we know it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not, we actually live in a condition in which we are constantly surrounded by this lion, right? And it's a lion that's within. Now, I'm going to use a little acronym. Now, this is not biblical. This is not Bible. This is just me using it for the sake of YouTube and my episode here today and what I'm going to be talking about. But I want you to consider this for a minute. Let's go back to my whiteboard. And I want you to consider that, let's look at this word lion as lies influencing our negativity. Now, I want you to consider that this is a lion that we deal with, and it is something constantly influencing our negativity, and they're lies. So believe it or not, we tell ourselves lies every single day. What is the reason that a lot of people aren't able to accomplish more in life? It's because of what they believe. And the things that they believe are oftentimes coming from thoughts that they tell themselves. How often have we been hindered from going forward because of something that happened in the past? How often have we limited our ability to take advantage of an opportunity because of what someone else said that we just can't shake off? Someone else defined us in which we felt we weren't good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not able to do enough, not able to accomplish enough, right? That there was some reason that we didn't have what was required to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. How many times have you second guessed yourself when you really knew you had the ability to do it, but you were afraid of what people may think of you? You were afraid of what people might say. How many times have people lessened themselves around certain people because they didn't want those people to think that they thought that they were better? They didn't want to be put down or made a joke about. How many people in the inner city who really could get good grades, but they hid their intelligence because their friends made it more important to be popular than to be smart? And so all of these things we're surrounded by all the time. And we all can make compromises that we don't realize simply because we don't realize that there's lies that we're being told. Now, what's so amazing is when you think about this, lies have influence, right? And so we have to be careful about the influence of a lie. And we have to be careful that sometimes that our lies weren't all self-created, but sometimes we are victims of lies that were told to us. So there's things that we've heard like, time is money, which is not true. Time is much greater than money. Like we've heard lies like that you actually, aren't able, that you may create wealth by working hard. And there's nothing can be further from the truth. You want to learn how to make your money work hard, right? We've heard lies about what it really means to be successful. We've had people who have portrayed success in front of our eyes, all the celebrities and all the great athletes. And then you find out later things that were going on that we didn't know, and the life that they were really living, and how many of them were trying to numb themselves from a life that was not happy at all, but they appeared to be happy. It was a lie. How many times have we been lied to by the government, by the food industry, by the medical industry? How many times have we been told things that we thought were true, and just to find out that it was giving us an evil disease, and we get a special report and we find out that the thing that they said was okay and actually makes you better and improves your heart, improves your cholesterol, and then we find out it kills you and cuts your life down by 10 years, all because someone was making money. How many times have we seen this? This is because there are so many things that we deal with in life, in business, and in wealth. This is my passion as the CEO maker to help you be the CEO of your life, realizing that we have to stay conscious of the fact that we don't want to let lies to begin to bind us and cause us to believe the wrong things, because what we believe is so important. We want to be made free by the truth, and this is why we must make room for truth so that we can overcome the lies that influence our negativity. So this is, again, a big part of what we're talking about. So let's come back to my whiteboard for a minute. And when you think about the lies that influence our negativity, the biggest ways that the influence begins to happen is through the thoughts that we receive. Thoughts that we receive. Now, I want you to understand something. When you think about thoughts, thoughts are a very powerful thing. Now, I want to go to another clear whiteboard here, and I want to write a number down for you. 70,000. Now, as you look at this number, I'm sure many of you wouldn't mind having $70,000. Some of you, if you have food that you like, you may not mind having 70,000 of them, right? But this 70,000 is something deeper. Did you know that we have 70,000 thoughts every single day, on average? 70,000 thoughts. Think about that. I mean, this is such a powerful, epiphany and revelation to know that I'm responsible for managing something that is happening to me, whether I want it to or not. So if I had a business and this business had a certain amount of products, or let's just say customers, right? Or let's say team members that work for the company, and I was asked to take over this business. I never knew what was, going to be the responsibilities, but I took it on because maybe I get a lot of money or whatever. But then I get there and I find out I've got 70,000 employees. 70,000 employees. So right away, whether I wanted it or not, I'm responsible for 70,000 people. I've got to decide how to organize those people. I got to decide what people are doing good and what people are doing bad. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. As the CEO of your life, the CEO realizing you run the business of you, that there are 70,000 workers that are within you that must be managed. And some of them need to be fired. And some of them you can hire. And some of them you can leave alone. Now, let's go back to my whiteboard and let's break that down. So we have some thoughts that could be positive. Some can be negative. And some could be random and neither negative or positive, just random, right? So I want you to consider for a minute that how do we get positive thoughts? Well, the only way that I can get positive thoughts, because by nature, the only thoughts that I have, my first initial generation of a thought comes from a negative foundation. Now, I don't have time to go all into this. This goes all the way back to a little garden at the cradle of civilization in which man fell away from his original state, and us now being born. We were born in sin and shaping in iniquity, as he says in Psalms. And in sin did our mother conceive us. We were born in a body which Paul called a body of sin that by nature thinks to do its own will. We get negative thoughts, right? So this is why, have you ever thought about this? It's so ironic that when a child is born, you don't have to take them to envy school so that they can learn how to be envious. You don't have to take them to a jealousy mastermind to learn how to be jealous. You don't have to go to a lying academy, right? They just know how to do it. But you do have to teach them what right is. You do have to teach them how to treat people. You do have to teach them to be a lady and a gentleman. You do have to teach them how to do the right thing. Why? Because that is something not innate within them. They could have never heard anyone lie, and they instantly know how to protect themselves through a lie, right? So this is why we can see something that is very important. Forget the gentleman's name that wrote a book, and he called it Ants. And let's go back to my whiteboard here. I want you to remember this acronym, right? These ants over here. This stands for automatic negative thoughts. So these automatic negative thoughts are the things that we get automatically, okay? So if I'm going to get something positive, back to what I was saying earlier, there's something that I have to actually have some sort of source of positive information. And this positive information, I must put that in my mind to have more positive things in me as an option. Because by birth, these options weren't there. This is why we're thankful for people that maybe we met that were positive. Maybe we had a positive grandmother, a positive parent. Maybe we had a positive friend, and we learned about a different way. We saw an example of love. We saw someone be charitable. We saw someone, and if we are, blessed to find a place or even, let's say, a church that is operating the way that the Bible said it's supposed to be operating. If you can find a ministry that's been called by God and get in a place where you can be taught the Lord's words, there's nothing more positive, right? I gotta, just get to the bottom line here. There's nothing more positive, right? There's a lot of wise sayings, good people, and different things. Nothing more positive than the source of all positivity, which is God, and finding the things that are there. But that's neither here nor there. Even if you're not a religious person, a spiritual person, I should say, and you just want to live, be a good citizen, you just want to be a good person, there are things that you can do that are good, right? But you have to first learn about that. And this is why we have to get access to certain information, because the negativity is there now. But keep in mind, let's go back to the whiteboard for a minute. I can also add more negativity. So this is the danger. So I can actually learn how to be more negative or to do more things that are not good. And that's why life is so dangerous, because it is shaping these 70,000 thoughts. And every single day, I'm making a choice of which one of these thoughts I will actually dwell on long enough to begin to go through the due process. Some of you might be asking, what is the due process? Great, that's what I wanted you to ask. Let's talk about the due process. Now, let's go here, and I want to go over the due process. Now, here's how this works. First, everything begins with our thoughts. Okay? We talked about that. We get 70,000 of these every single day. Okay? We have to manage these. We got to decide which to hire, which to fire. Am I going to think about the thing that tells me why I can't and why I won't and causes me to have fear? Am I going to deal more in anxiety or deal more in anticipation? It's all a decision I make every single day in so many different areas. These thoughts lead to feelings. Here's where we get the emotional aspect. Now, feeling is so important because feeling, there is an emotional impact that is so powerful in us as humans that what we feel is very critical to what we do next and what becomes real. So emotion actually has the power to actually cause something to become larger, bigger, to intensify. It has the ability to make something feel as if it is true. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. This is why when you watch a good movie, did you ever notice how much is done to help create a feeling? See, someone is a good producer of a movie. If you really pay attention. There's a lot of things going on. They're choosing the scene. If they want you to feel scared, you'll see a dark room. You'll see creaking noises as they walk. The music is chosen specifically to cause you to have a sense of feeling of being scared. There's a certain sound, right? There'll be certain shades of lighting. There'll be random things that keep you on edge. Then you might see a random thing that brings fear, like an axe on the floor, right? Or a blood stain on the wall. All of this is causing all of your senses to feel scared. If I want you to feel happy, we may have more sunlight, flowers, music that feels more exciting or happy. We may see a smile. We may see a bird fly by. We may see many different things that evoke feelings of happiness. We might see a little child, right? All these things are handpicked because they're not only trying to tell you a story in that movie, they're trying to give you a feeling so that you go on an emotional journey to experience the movie. And the more they're good at doing that, the better. Let's take a good speaker. A good speaker is able to master the art of storytelling. And they're not going to just tell you, right? If I was telling you about, some aspect of my life when I was handpicked by Akio Toyoda and sent to Japan to become a lean management expert. I could tell you, just as simple, he handpicked me and I went to Japan. Or I could tell you a story that makes you feel. Let me give you an example. When I was there at Toyota, Akio Toyoda came. I remember walking around and looking in the eyes of all the people who were there and sensing the fear of making sure that everything went right because they knew how powerful he was. I never forget walking around and having several people looking at me as if, are you really gonna do it? Are you gonna give the presentation to Akio Toyoda? I remember my heart beating a little faster as it got closer because I started to feel that, I was gonna really do it. I never met the person before. I was in my early 20s and I didn't realize maybe this is more than I thought it was because I'm looking at how everybody else is feeling. And then I remember him walking through the door and having a little hard hat on that as he began to walk through, and he walked up and I can still see the jacket that he had on and how he began to reach out to shake my hand. And when my hand met his hand and I began to shake his hand, I looked in his eyes, and for that moment, I said to myself, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna really just give this presentation and do all that I can. I pray the Lord will help me to do my best, but I'm gonna do this. I remember my heart beating faster and starting to feel the courage to do it, and turning around and looking at the first station that I needed to walk to and begin to explain to him what had happened in the plant and what the improvement was. And seeing all the people as they gathered around, and they began to gather around their parts of the assembly line, all of them putting their little goggles up for their protective glasses, and they were all listening to see if they could just get a little listen in at what I was gonna say. This young man coming in out of nowhere, giving the presentation to one of the greatest giants in Toyota. I hope you can see what I just did there. It's a lot different than telling you that I was handpicked by Akio Toyoda. I created a feeling, I created an experience. Now, what I want you to see here, and I hope you saw what I just did there, and really, if you're paying attention, you can use this in your professional career, be a better speaker, a better trainer, a better parent, knowing to do what I just did to actually create an experience to cause people to follow you and understand you. But listen, this is what's dangerous. Your mind is able to do what I just did about something that may not even be true. What I told you is true. But what about when your mind does that to you about something that's not true and causes you to believe something that's not even real and causes you to see something that's not even there? It's a movie that's being played by you. And you begin to choose your own characters and you begin to make your own storyline. And all of it is based on your background, your past, how you tend to think, your things about you that cause you to feel a certain way when certain options come up. There's some of us, when we get a certain opportunity, we play the same movie. You ever watch a rerun? Right? You all remember, sometime a rerun comes on. Have you ever seen a rerun come on TV or something? And you've seen the movie 1,000 times, but it's nostalgia. So you just sit there and you say, I didn't sit here all day and watch this movie. I didn't seen this movie 100 times. And I'm sitting here watching every part. I know everything that's going to happen. I can say the thing with the actor, but I'm going to still watch it. Why? It's nostalgia. And you just want to watch it again. But did you know we have a dangerous nostalgia in which every time it's time for us to do something that we feel is going to require us to do more, we put ourselves down and we tell ourselves this story. We do a rerun, right? Every time it's a moment in which someone made me feel less important, I don't know how to rise above that, and I get insecure and I run the rerun. So we have to be careful of this because these emotions, they're storytellers. And so we have to be very careful how we allow this to affect us. Now, let's go back to due process. So what this means is these feelings lead to what we do. And this is something you learn even as a business person, and to master the art of selling. One thing that you have to understand is that people are going to do what they want to do. So it's better to tap into the emotion and to actually help them to see that a decision may be best for them, because they're not going to do it for you, they're going to do it for them. But the reality is, when you think about this due process, look at here on the whiteboard that we start with the thoughts. Then we get feelings, and then it leads to what we do. Now, what this means is there is a dramatic focus we must have on the foundation of due process. The process of what we end up doing begins with a focus on what we're thinking. So, a thought is a random thing that comes from the brain. But your mindset, okay, let me write this on the whiteboard. Mindset. Now, the reason this is important, we have mind and we have set. Now, you ever seen in track, they'll say, ready, set, right? And when they say set, you get in a position, and you're in a staying position and you are ready, right? But you are still. So a mindset is me getting in a still position to keep that thought continually going over and over. I'm just set in that place. I'm set in my ways. I'm set, right? And I'm ready to move forward and end up doing what my mind is set on. So you won't always do every thought that you get, but you will always do every mindset that you have. And this is why we have to be careful of how many thoughts we allow to become a mindset. See, all of us get thoughts sometimes that aren't good. The problem is when we let it become a mindset, a way of being, a way of thinking continually. And then, as it's often said, the Bible says, the man thinketh in his heart, so is he. In other words, you keep thinking a certain way, that'll become who you are. So you show me a person that's doing negative things, I'll show you a person with negative thoughts. You show me a person who is being very achievement-oriented and being successful, I'll show you a person who has success-oriented thoughts, achievement-oriented thoughts. So we must every day be conscious of our own lion, right? So sometimes the lion is lying. I hope you got that the lion might be lying. And this is why, as we started off here, I'm going to go back. Remember this, lies influencing our negativity, all right? I want you to see this on the whiteboard one more time. It is the lies influence our negativity that we must fight against every single day. And this is why I say stop lying. Now, when you take this information now, I want you to be aware, this is one of my missions. This is one of my goals to help you that are here that want to be greater entrepreneurs, want to be greater professionals, want to be better leaders, to realize that the only pathway to getting the most out of our life, to having the ultimate freedom in our life, is to be delivered from this lion. And the thing about this lion and all the lies that influence our negativity, it's been trained by so many things going on in the world. They lie to us about life. They lie to us about health. They lie to us about business. They lie to us about wealth and what it really means to actually obtain to that. But the truth can still make us free. And as we get more truth, we then are empowered to be the CEO of our life, one decision at a time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you like and you subscribe. Leave some comments about what you got out of this. I read every single one, and I can't wait to see you on the other side of achievement and success, all because you chose to run the business of you. I'm Michael E. Parker, the CEO Maker, and I'll see you on the next episode.